Welcome to the Deep Dive. Today, we're sort of revving things up a bit.
Yeah, what's on the bench?
We're exploring the 2025 Kawasaki Z900 SE. One of our sources is calling it the ultimate Streetfighter upgrade.
Ah, the Z900 SE.
We've got an article here, pretty detailed, and the mission today is basically to unpack it all, figure out what makes this bike tick, what makes it stand out in that crowded, naked bike market.
Right. So the Z900 SE, it's not like a totally new bike from the ground up.
No, seems more like an evolution.
Exactly. Think of it as Kawasaki taking the standard Z900, which is already a solid bike, and adding some pretty serious upgrades.
Premium stuff.
Definitely. The article highlights two things right away: the Showa SFF BP front forks and Brembo radial mount brakes.
Okay, and those aren't just fancy names.
Not at all. They mean better handling, better stopping, real performance boosts.
Gotcha. It's like upgrading the crucial bits on a performance car. The engine's still key, though, right? It's got that 948cc inline-4.
Oh yeah, the heart of the beast. Muscular is a good word for it.
The article mentions 125 horsepower and 98.6 newton meters of torque. So, okay, numbers are numbers, but if you're actually riding it, what does that feel like?
That's the interesting part. That 125 horsepower, that gives you the top end rush when you really twist the throttle.
For those open road moments.
Exactly. But maybe more important for like everyday riding is that torque, 98.6 centimeter. It peaks lower down in the mid-range.
So more accessible power.
Precisely. You get that strong immediate pull when you want to accelerate out of a corner or, pass someone. You're not constantly having to rev it really high to get it moving.
Right. That sounds much more usable day to day. Okay, let's dig into the specs table, and we've got the details here.
Play on me.
Engine, 948cc inline-4 power, 125 HHA at 9,500 RPM torque, 98.6 nanometers at 7,700 RPM.
Okay. Standard stuff there for the SCE.
Transmission is a 6-speed manual. Estimated top speed around 240 kilometers.
Pretty quick.
Fuel tank 17 liters. Wet weight is 212 kilograms. Seat height 795 millimeter.
That seat height's quite accessible, actually.
Yeah, seems reasonable. Suspension, Showa SFF BP front, horizontal backlink rear, brakes, Brembo radial mount front, single disc rear.
The premium bits we mentioned?
And the price, estimated around $11,500. So the article talks about why this matters. What's the big takeaway from all these numbers?
Well, connecting the dots for you, the rider, it paints a picture of a bike that's high performance, yes, but also manageable.
Not overwhelming.
Right. The engine's strong, the weight, 212 kilograms. It's not super light, but still agile enough. But the real story, like we said, is the upgraded component.
With Showa and Brembo parts.
Exactly. Those Showa SFF BP forks, that stands for Separate Function Fork Big Piston, basically means better damping control.
Okay.
And the Brembo brakes, they translate directly into better handling, more precise steering, and crucially, much better stopping power, more confident.
Especially important when things get twistier, you need to stop fast.
Absolutely. And then the practical things, like the 17-liter tank, decent range. And that 795 millimeter seat height makes it welcoming for more riders. It's not just a track weapon.
Built for the real world, then. Okay, specs covered. Let's move on to the key features. First up, aggressive naked design.
Yeah, that's kind of the whole point of a Streetfighter, isn't it?
Exposed engine, sharp look. What defines the Z900 SE visually?
It definitely leans into that look. The article points out how the engine itself is like a core visual element, gives it that raw mechanical look. Then you have the sharp lines, the angular bodywork, very modern, very aggressive, plus full LED lighting everywhere.
Headlights, taillights, signals.
Yep, better visibility, looks sharp. And then the SE gets specific touches, smoked windscreen accents, nicer finishes, little things that say premium.
Sets it apart from the standard model.
That's exactly. Shows a bit more attention to detail.
Okay, next feature, refined power delivery. We touch on the numbers, but the article mentions smooth operation, minimal vibration. That sounds important, especially for longer rides.
Oh, hugely important. Power is great, but if the bike shakes you apart, it's no fun after an hour. So Kawasaki seems to have focused on making that big inline-4 smooth. You get the power, that strong mid-range torque we talked about, making it good for city riding and open roads, but without excessive buzz. It feels more refined, more engineered.
Makes sense. Then we have premium suspension and brakes again.
Yeah.
Clearly a major selling point.
It really is where the SE justifies itself over the standard Z900.
So those Showa SFF BP forks, what do they do better than standard forks?
They offer more controlled damping, better feedback from the front wheel, more stability, especially when you're leaning it over or hitting bumps mid-corner. It just feels more precise.
And the Brembo brakes. Radial mount sounds serious.
They are. Radial mounting provides a more rigid setup, which means less flex and a more direct feel at the lever. Plus, Brembo calipers themselves just offer fantastic stopping power and control. Boost your confidence massively.
And the rear suspension. Horizontal backlink.
Yeah, that design helps centralize mass and provides consistent performance, working with the front to keep the tire planted and soak up bumps.
Okay, so the hardware is top-notch. What about the electronics? Advanced electronics and rider aids.
Right. Pretty much essential these days. It's got ride-by-wire throttle,
Which allows for?
more precise control, and enables things like riding modes and traction control.
Ah, okay. Traction control, that's a big safety feature.
Definitely. Helps prevent the rear wheel from spinning out, especially if it's wet or you hit a slippery patch. Good for experienced riders, great for less experienced ones.
And riding modes, like sport, road, rain.
Exactly like that. They let you adjust things like throttle response, how sharp it feels, and the level of traction control intervention. Makes the bike adaptable to different conditions or just your mood.
More versatile. Cool.
No.
Lastly, under key features, comfortable ergonomics for everyday use.
Comfy Streetfighter.
Sounds like a bit of an oxymoron, maybe. But the article highlights a few things. Mid-mounted foot pegs.
So, not super sporty rear sit pegs.
No, more natural, less strain on your wrists and back.
Yeah.
Then wide handlebars.
Good for leverage in town. Yeah, it makes it easier to handle at lower speeds and promotes a more upright posture. And that 795mm seat height again, plus a supposedly plush saddle.
Okay, so it seems they're really trying to make it usable, not just a weekend blaster.
That seems to be the goal. Thrills, but with some thought for practicality.
All right, makes sense. But how does it compare to the competition? The article pits it against the Triumph Street Triple RS and the Yamaha MT-09 SP.
The big rivals, yeah.
Looking at performance first, the Triumph actually has slightly more horsepower, 128 HP versus the Kawi's 125.
True, but look at the torque.
Right, the Z900 SE has significantly more torque, 98.6 nanometer, compared to the Triumph's 80 nanometer. And the Yamaha MT-09 SP sits kind of in between on both.
So what that translates to, potentially, the Triumph might feel a bit more peaky, maybe more rewarding when you really rev it out, plus it's lighter.
More frantic.
Could be, yeah. The Yamaha's triple engine